morning, everyone. Today I am doing a little bit of a different type of a video. I actually had a request by a couple people to show how I brew tea, and I'm assuming that the people who asked that are referring to loose leaf tea. So that's what I'm going to show you guys today. Keep in mind, I am not an expert. I don't have training or anything like that. I'm somebody who has been drinking tea though since I've been about 8 years old, and this is how I do it. This is what works for me. I think the thing to keep in mind with tea is that this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be relaxing. So don't work yourself up over all of the the little things, I guess. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So first off, I am going to show you how the two main ways that I brew loose leaf tea are with these two containers. So this first one is the Adagio Ingenuity brewer, and this is the one that you would put the tea leaves in this, close the lid, let it brew, and then on the very bottom there's like a mechanism, so if you put it on top of a cup, then it dispenses your tea and keeps the leaves in the chamber. So I use that for brewing hot tea. I also, though, that is my favorite way to brew loose leaf tea that I'm going to be using for iced tea. So I'll show you that. The other way is, this is my other favorite way, is just using one of these like brew baskets, and these are from DavidsTea. The DavidsTea ones are my favorite. I'm sure other companies have the same ones though, because I'm pretty sure you can find these anywhere. It's just, obviously the DavidsTea puts their logo on it, but I think other companies have that too. But those are just the two ways that the two tools, I guess, that I use to brew loose leaf tea. I have found I have some things like I have teapots and things like that, but I have found that I am happiest brewing it this way. I very, very rarely use my teapots. I also am a mug girl. I do have some teacups, but I tend to just gravitate towards mugs. That's just me. But let's go ahead and start brewing. And what I'm going to show you is I'm going to do one iced and then I'm going to do one hot. So the one that I'm going to do hot is the Amber Mint from Dominion Tea. Now with this, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. Okay, like up at the top, it says brewing instructions, and it has your temperature, 200 to 212 degrees. I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to that. And the reason for that is I do not have a variable temperature kettle. I will show you my kettle in just a second, but it's something that I want to get eventually, but it's not necessary. I feel like people have been brewing tea for hundreds and hundreds upon year, forever basically. And the variable temperature kettles just came out within the last 50 years, probably not even. So I don't feel like it's definitely a necessary thing. If you have one, that's great. If you don't though, do not get worked up over it. So as far as the rest of it though, I do tend to follow, at least if it's the first time trying a tea. So with this one, it says this is for an 8-ounce cup too. You're going to use 1 flat teaspoon, and for that, I literally just use a teaspoon out of my baking stuff, and then it says to brew it for 5 to 10 minutes. So generally, if it's the first time that I'm trying a tea, you've got that 5 to 10 minutes. I'll brew somewhere in the middle, so 7 to 8 minutes. Once you have tried a tea out, though, then you can kind of play with that, and you can decide if you want to brew it a little bit less, a little bit longer. You can also experiment with the amount of tea that you use. So that's all, I think, going to be based up to your personal taste. So I do have that tea in this little brewer. Let's see if you guys can see it better. The lighting is not the greatest right now, but it's in there. So we're going to brew that one in this cup. Next, I'm going to do a tea in this one that we're going to actually put over ice, and we're going to be doing this Just Add Honey Strawberry Kiwi tea. Now this one, it says 2 teaspoons per 12 ounces, which is nice because this does have a 12-ounce mark. And again, it tells you the temperature if you have a variable temperature kettle. If not, just ignore that. And you're going to steep this for 5 minutes. So let me get that in that brewer. So you can see I have my tea in there, and this one does have bigger chunks. Another thing to keep in mind, since I'm going to be putting this over ice, I'm not going to be cooling it off first. I'm literally going to brew this tea and put it over ice. So the ice is going to actually melt a little bit, so that's going to water down the tea. So what I do if I'm going to immediately drink the tea iced, I double the amount of tea. So instead of 2 teaspoons for the 12 ounces, I put 4 teaspoons in here. Now, if I am going to put the tea in the refrigerator and let it cool completely on its own and then add ice, I would follow the instructions. So this is what I use to heat my water. It's just a water heating kettle, basically. Like I said, it is not a temperature one. You can't pick the temperature. It's just going to bring the water to a boil. I actually got this at a garage sale for $1, so I thought that was a steal. Up until I got that, though, I just used my stovetop to boil the water. So again, I can't stress this enough, you guys. Tea is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to have a bunch of rules. Like, if the more you get into it, the more you can kind of test things out and see, if it makes a difference to you. But especially when you're first getting started, just enjoy it. Just have fun with it. Break the rules. It's okay. So I have the water in with my tea now. So this amber mint one, this was the one that said 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to brew this one for 8. And then the strawberry kiwi one says to do 5 minutes, which is what I will do. So let me set my timer. Okay, so the time is up. So let's first deal with the amber mint over here. So this is the one that I'm going to be enjoying hot. Now, if I wanted to sweeten this, which I'm not going to, this is a tea that I actually prefer unsweetened. If I was going to sweeten this, though, I would remove, the brew basket, and then I would stir my sugar or honey or whatever in. As far as rule of thumb, because I do get this question a lot, as far as do I sweeten my teas, do I not sweeten my teas? I think the more you drink tea, you'll find that certain teas you actually prefer unsweetened, certain teas you prefer with sweetener. I think some teas take more sweetener than others. Some teas you may want brown sugar, some teas you may want white sugar, some teas you may want honey. So I think it's one of those things, like, the best thing I can say to do is start with, like, if you're having an 8-ounce cup of hot tea, start with 1 teaspoon of sugar. And that, I actually learned that from, do you guys remember when Teavana had actual stores? When you went in there and they would have, like, the samples available, they would have unsweetened samples and they would have sweetened samples. The sweetened samples were 1 teaspoon of sugar. It was their rock sugar per 8 ounces. So that's kind of your, like, baseline, I guess, as far as sweetening. And the more you play with it, your taste will come through and you'll figure if you like more or less sweetener. So just play with it. So anyway, this one is done. So we are going to pull it out. And with this, you just lift it and it strains the tea out. And then I actually have these are like old antique plates. I bought these at the thrift store, and these are honestly perfect for throwing, like, your brew baskets and things on, so that you don't get a mess all over your counter. So I'm just gonna, put that to the side, and that tea is done. Like, we have brewed it. It's exactly how I want it. So let's move on to the next one. So this is the strawberry kiwi one. Now this one, let me show you guys. The ingredients in this are apple, hibiscus, rose hips, dried kiwi, and dried strawberry. So this one is in my sip down, and the reason it's in my sip down is because it is a very tart. It's got that hibiscus and it's got the rose hips. So this one I did sweeten, and I did that off camera, but what I actually did is I put 2 teaspoons of sugar and I put it right in this, like, dispenser and stirred it around, because I know that this tea, there's no way I could drink this unsweetened. It would just, like, pucker me up. So that one is sweetened, and I just sweetened that one with just white, like, sugar. Your just all-purpose white sugar. So I have my glass here with the ice in it, and we are just going to put this on the top, and you can see it dispenses down just like that. And I'm just going to kind of let it sit there for a second because it may drip. Okay, it looks like it's done dripping. And then I'm going to put this one onto a plate also, just so we don't have any mess on the counter. Now this one, what I'll probably do is just kind of stir it around a little bit just to make sure it's evenly cold, and then I will throw a straw in it and enjoy it. So I hope that answered all of your questions as far as how I brew loose leaf tea. If you have any specific questions, definitely feel free to leave those down in the comments. Again, though, like I said at the beginning, I am not a tea expert. I'm just somebody who loves tea, who's passionate about tea, and I feel like the harder you make it and the more rules you put on it, the less people are gonna want to even deal with it. So just make it fun, just enjoy it. My biggest thing would be, like, if you are new to tea, go to the grocery store, grab a box with like 20 tea bags in it, and just play with those tea bags. You know, enjoy it unsweetened, enjoy it sweetened, enjoy it iced, enjoy it hot, enjoy it with honey, enjoy, you know, just all 20 of those tea bags, just experiment with it, and you will start to develop a taste. And then once you have that one down, go get another box or get a sampler box, you know, just make it fun, make it exciting, make it an adventure. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for a little bit, and I will see you next time.